All 30 NBA teams have played at least one game in the new regular season, and there were 4 teams who really stood out to me compared to their previous year's team, so today let's go over them. We of course have to start out with the reigning champs, the Boston Celtics, who put a beat down on the new-look New York Knicks, winning 132-109. The story of the game was of course the three-point shot, as the Celtics scored 87 of their 132 points from behind the arc in the greatest shooting night in NBA history. There won't be another game this season where a team is that locked in with the three-point shooting, as there's no team as cohesive as the Celtics are from both sides of the ball. In this game, the Celtics made 17 of their 36 attempted catch-and-shoot threes, which equals out to 47.2%. This incredible stat is because of Boston's unselfishness. They never settle for a poor shot and have the basketball IQ to slip unnoticed into the corner or on the wing and find open looks. In Tuesday's game, 50 of the Celtics' 61 attempted threes were classified as open or wide open. In those 50 attempts, 25 went in. You won't see another defense get dismantled as the Knicks did from the three-point line, but the scary thing for the rest of the league is that Boston got it done in every area. The Celtics out-assisted the Knicks 33-20, out-rebounded them 40-34, grabbed 11 offensive rebounds to the Knicks' 5, and only turned the ball over 3 times to the Knicks' 11. Of course, we're crediting the victory to the entire team, but man did Jason Tatum have a game. 37 points and 10 assists while shooting 14 for 18 from the field and 8 for 11 from 3. I mentioned earlier the Celtics making 17 catch-and-shoot threes, but I didn't mention Boston also making 12 pull-up threes. That's because I wanted to credit Tatum in that category, as all 8 of his made threes were pull-ups and when he had the ball in his hands for longer than 2 seconds. His ability to navigate through screens and work on the mismatch, as well as his ability to go to work with Mikal Bridges closely guarding him, was extremely impressive and a great sign for this upcoming season after some questions about his shooting ability rose in the playoffs. What did translate from the playoffs though was his playmaking ability. As I mentioned earlier, Tatum finished the game with 10 assists, with 7 of those 10 coming from three-point shots. His ability to drive to the paint and kick out to the three-point line is extremely valuable considering how great the Celtics are at finding open space on the court. And overall, just as a scorer, I was extremely impressed with how Tatum attacked the mismatches he got. He attempted 12 total shots when Cat and Jericho Sims were guarding him, and he made 11 of them, including 6 threes. We've had a lot of great individual performances through 3 days of games, but I would argue that Tatum had the most impressive one Tuesday night. Last thing on the Celtics, it's important to note that Kristaps Porzingis will be out until at least November, and Boston is going to have to navigate their first month of play without Porzingis, who was a revelation on both sides of the ball last season. It's obviously going to be a big loss, but if Boston continues looking as smooth as they did on Tuesday, they're not going to have any problems. The opening months of the season are usually rough because coaches are still working on finding the best rotations, and most teams are fleshing out issues on the court in real time. Because of this, and because the Celtics pretty much kept all of their key rotational players, they may breeze through these first couple of months solely because they already have their responsibilities both on and off the court already figured out. So even with no Porzingis, I wouldn't expect the Celtics to trip up too much before the new year. The Celtics' dominance wasn't too surprising to start the season. What was surprising to watch was the second Tuesday game, where the Los Angeles Lakers looked like a cohesive basketball team for the first time in years. You never truly understand how poorly a team is run until after the problem is gone. And no offense to Darvin Ham, but his coaching abilities held this team back. And JJ Redick of all people was the one to revitalize this broken team. And what it came down to, at least in my perspective, was off-ball movement and making the extra passes to find the best available shot. Last year, the Lakers were 6th to last in passes made with an average of 267.5 per game. In their first game this season, the Lakers made 334 passes, good for 3rd in the league. You could watch sets and plays being called from the bench as the Lakers played an incredible game against the Timberwolves despite hitting only 5 of their 30 attempted threes. You can see this teamwork even in the starters' shots attempted, as despite Anthony Davis, who we're definitely going to talk about in just a little bit, the other 4 starters all shot between 12 and 16 shots. Redick's ability to call plays that makes every player on the floor an offensive threat will be crucial when the Lakers play in crunch time, as building your starters' confidence throughout the game can lead to you figuring out what rotations work and what plays to draw up depending on the situation. We saw signs of Redick's brilliance in the preseason, but to see it play out in the regular season against one of the better teams in the league gives me high hopes for the futures of the Lakers. Speaking of the future of the Lakers, another reason why I'm giving Redick credit is because of his urgency to revolve the offense around Anthony Davis. We We've been waiting almost 5 years to see Davis take the reins from LeBron and make the Lakers his team, and it looks like that day has finally come, as Davis took 23 shots and scored 36 points while grabbing 16 rebounds. Last season, the majority of Davis's shots came from jumpers, where he shot 39.5% on 489 total attempts. On Tuesday, Davis's jumper looked much more fluid and he felt comfortable shooting, especially in the mid-range, where he hit a couple step backs and fadeaways over Gobert and Randall. Redick, unlike Darvin Ham, trusted AD to go to work offensively. On Tuesday, 56.5% of Davis's attempted shots came when he held the ball for longer than 2 seconds and could create shots for himself. In 2023, only 38.5% of his shots came when he held the ball for longer than 2 seconds, and as a result, his offensive abilities were limited. With AD's emergence as a number one option, the Lakers looked great. But what does this mean for LeBron? LeBron is of course 40 years old and unfortunately winding down his career. It makes sense that his role on offense would start to become lesser and lesser as the years went on. But now that this thought process looks to be in effect, you have to wonder how the offense and LeBron will continue to look, considering his shot attempts per game will likely be the lowest in his career by the end of the season. However, if the Lakers continue looking this cohesive as a unit and Redick continues to draw up great plays, maybe the Lakers are saving one final elite LeBron push into the postseason, where the Lakers are going to undoubtedly make their mark. Next up, I'd like to take your attention to Orlando, where the Magic absolutely ripped apart the Heat 116-97. And of course, the big standout here was Paolo Banchero, who put up an efficient 33 points and 11 boards while finishing the game with a team-high plus 42 plus minus. Everything was working for Banchero on both sides of the ball, and part of that, especially on offense, was because of his teammates. The Magic last year had one of the worst offensive supporting casts, forcing Banchero and Franz Wagner to take tough shots to get points on the board. However, with the acquisition of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope as a 3-and-D threat, as well as the emergence of Jalen Suggs as a shooter, teams can't focus their entire attention to the Magic's two young stars. And as a result, both Franz and Paolo can operate with space and get to their spots on the court. And while the Magic supporting cast outside of Gary Harris didn't have a good game, just the threat of having them on the court allowed for Paolo to take the reins offensively and lead the Magic to an emphatic win over the Heat. What I'd like to focus on with this Magic team is three-point shooting. I already mentioned Suggs and KCP, but overall, this team is shooting a lot more from behind the arc compared to last season. On Wednesday, the Magic shot 49 three-pointers, the second highest in the NBA, and made 18 of them. Last season, the Magic only shot 31.3 three-point attempts per game, which was second to last. Their game plan to sit players on the perimeter and create the threat of a three-point shot so Paolo and Franz could work in the paint was masterful, and while they took 96 field goals in Wednesday's game, they forced the Heat to attempt only 82 total field goals, the fourth lowest mark in the NBA. If the Magic can maintain their defensive prowess while developing an offense that thrives on three-point shooting and spacing the floor that open up drives from Franz and Paolo, then I'm not sure what's going to stop this team. What limited the Magic last season was their dreadful offense, but with more threats on that side of the ball and what's looking like a big leap from Paolo, I wouldn't be shocked if the Magic are a true contender out east and give teams like the Celtics a run for their money in a 7-game series. We just gave some love to 3 teams looking to contend in their respective conferences, but now I want to shed some light on a team looking to just exceed their relatively low expectations, that being the Charlotte Hornets. Despite losing Brandon Miller early in the game and playing without Josh Green and Mark Williams, the Hornets finally looked to have hope after a great performance from Trey Mann and a ridiculous performance from LaMelo Ball that reminded people who he was. Ball finished with 34 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds in a great 110-105 victory over the Houston Rockets. What impressed me the most about Ball's scoring efforts was his ability to navigate inside the arc. Ball is of course known to take many three-point shots, as he did on Wednesday with 12 of his 20 shot attempts coming from behind the arc. However, what made Ball the most effective was his ability to drive toward the basket and stop on a dime to shake opposing defenders and hit a floater or bank shot. Inside the arc, Houston couldn't stop LaMelo, as he shot 6 for 8 within 15 feet of the basket, despite guys like Dylan Brooks, Amen Thompson, and Jabari Smith Jr. consistently guarding him. As a passer, LaMelo created 27 points from his assist alone, as he was able to find guys cutting to the rim for easy buckets while keeping the defense off balance with the threat of his scoring. But what impressed me the most about LaMelo's game on Wednesday was his effort and leadership. Coming into the season, the general consensus around the Hornets was that LaMelo was not the right guy to lead the franchise. He's not durable. He was regarded as a player without dedication to the game, and oh yeah, did I mention he doesn't play much? Overall, many considered Brandon Miller to be the next face of the franchise, but to LaMelo's credit, he was incredible on Wednesday as a leader and a player who showed effort. And if he can keep those efforts up, the Hornets could potentially sneak into the play-in. And of course, we need to mention Charles Lee, the Hornets' new head coach. It's not easy to succeed in Charlotte, especially without 3 starters for the majority of the game. However, Lee's rotations were crisp, his game plan was solid, and he brought the best out of this Hornets roster. The Hornets lead the NBA with an average of 16 screen assists per game, which directly translated to 38 points, and they rank 5th per game in contested shots with 45 against the Rockets. That's a huge improvement compared to the Hornets' average of 10 screen assists and 40 contested shots per game last year, and those changes don't come without good coaching. So if Lee can continue on an upward trajectory, if LaMelo can continue to show superstar flashes and give effort on the court, and if this team can actually stay healthy, I wouldn't be shocked if they finish at or just below 500, which would be a huge step in the right direction considering where the Hornets have been for the past decade. Those 4 teams stood out to me the most, but there were also 26 other teams who competed in the last 3 days. So comment down below what team stood out to you the most, whether that be for a good reason or a bad reason. And remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel as we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. With that, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.